So my name's James Ross. I had a career in investment banking for 20 years, and where I did qualified accountant, night school, and it was a great way to learn about business. Actually, and I did so many different roles there. I had quite a senior position. I learned so much about business and financing and how to make things happen, and run big projects and small projects. So, but after 20 years, I kind of felt a bit burnt out with long hours and also just feeling like a small cog in a very, very large machine. So I kind of sort of left the city and I built a small business, which was a property business, which was really successful, but I just didn't find it very fulfilling. So I outsourced that and still have it to this day. But I guess I started looking for ways that I could help use my business skills in the local community better. Well, having built a business myself from scratch and not really knowing too much about it, I guess it kind of gave me an insight into what it was like to how that process works and how tough it is, and also how lonely it can be. So I started looking for opportunities where I could use my business experience, and I came across Tab, and I loved the concept. I could see how it could add value to business owners. I could see how my experience, both in big and small business, and being a qualified accountant and Prince 2 qualified on delivering projects, how I could really help business owners. And most importantly, it was in my local community, which is important because I didn't want to commute and I wanted to sort of put down some roots locally. So it kind of ticked all the boxes for me, and I was really excited. I think my initial sort of fears were not about me as a person and the skills I had. I had no doubts about that, but more about selling, because obviously I am, in my career I've not done sales, and so when you and obviously getting members, it's all about selling. So that was probably my only concern going into it. I knew I could be authentic, and I knew I could help people. So that was probably my biggest concern. And in honesty, it probably played out that way because although I really believed in the product, I didn't really have the best of starts. So in the first 3 months, I think I only signed one member, which is not that great. So it was a lot of effort at that point, and so it was frustrating because I knew I was getting really close, but I wasn't quite sealing the deal. But the training I got from Tab was brilliant, actually, really, really good. So I was hugely positive about. I felt confident. I just wasn't quite delivering, but that all changed. The help of the community really helped change that. But it definitely it wasn't the easiest of starts. I think the support that head office gave me was really good. I suppose being inexperienced in sales but confident in all the other aspects of business, they really showed me how to sell and gave me a lot of advice. They came and visited me when I started doing my first member meeting or potential prospect meetings to become members, called Field Support. And then they were always on hand to answer questions and just help me sort of get better, I suppose. So I found it the support I got was really beneficial. I mean, the community is fantastic, the Tab community, because there's a lot of people because it's non-compete. Everybody wants to help each other, and it really makes a difference. So when I first started, I was struggling a little bit. There was another guy who was a part of my peer board, which is some other Tab owners. We have our own board, which is really really beneficial. And he was struggling a bit with his motivation on sales, and we teamed together to sort of have a sort of some an accountability meeting each week. And just by tapping into his experience and giving me a little bit of advice, really helped. So that basically. I suddenly went from one member to having two boards in really short order, and that was all down to the community helping me out. So it really made a difference, and it's one of the reasons why I bought a franchise. Actually, having built my first business by myself, I realised it's a lonely place. Whereas this time, I was more being part of a community meant I didn't have to reinvent the wheel myself. I could just tap into other people and lean on their experience, and it really made a big difference. Funny enough, one of my first ever members, she is a lady who ran an engineering company, and in our work together over the last 2 years, she has trebled the turnover of her original company. But then also she's recently then bought another one, which has further doubled her revenue again. So it's been such a rewarding experience to work with her and seeing how her confidence has grown over that period and the ripple effect now across both companies. My biggest personal challenge was sales. So as I mentioned, I started slowly with not necessarily signing members at the rate I would have liked at the beginning. And the biggest thing I learned was that to sign members, you have to ask hard questions. You have to really push them. And I think I was a bit too respectful when I started. So the biggest change I've made is by really using my business knowledge and really trying to put them on the spot and make them really think about their business in a strategic way. Since I've overcome that main obstacle, I'm pretty much at full capacity now. I don't really have any space for any more members. I love helping SME business owners in my local community. I have such respect and admiration for people who start small and medium sized companies, and it can be tough because you're often quite isolated. So, helping them and watching their business grow and succeed in their challenges using my experience and seeing the ripple effect that across their families and their employees and their families by helping those businesses is I find it so rewarding, and I really enjoy pretty much every day that time working. Buying a Tab franchise was probably the best decision I've ever made. I have really enjoyed every moment of it, and it's been so rewarding. I both financially and from a feeling of giving back to the community. I just wish I'd done it earlier. I think my hardest moment was fairly early on when I met a member, a prospect who was interested in joining Tab, and I didn't really do a very good job in the sales process. And I realised after the feedback I got from him that I was basically focusing a little bit too much on rapport and making a good connection, and not probably asking the questions and making him think about his business and really showing that I can add value to his operation. So the biggest take I took, the low point for me was realizing that I had the skills to offer people, but I wasn't really showing it. And by stiffening that approach slightly, by asking more penetrating questions and making them think about their business, really made a big difference in terms of the ability to sign members.